All right, guys, it's time for another season preview. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. How good are they going to be? It's the Hoops Nerd Show. Okay, guys, before we get started, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. It helps it grow. And wouldn't everyone like to see this channel grow? I know I would. So anyways, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. All right, let's talk about the Boston Celtics. One of the teams that I think is actually going to be probably one of the more interesting teams in the league this year, at least in terms of teams that are competing to get as far as they can in the playoffs. The Boston Celtics had some interesting changes this offseason. The first one of the first big offseason changes was Brad Stevens going to the front office, and Ime Udoka becomes the new head coach. This to me right here is what makes the Boston Celtics a little bit of a wild card, because we've kind of seen the Brad Stevens teams for the last 3-4 years. Brad Stevens is a good head coach, and we all know he's a good head coach. Boston Celtics fans, I don't know exactly what your thoughts are with Brad Stevens at this moment. Maybe you like him, maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. But just from an outside perspective, he was a good coach, but I don't know if he was a coach that really was good outside of kind of the X's and O's. I think that some of the relationship stuff with players was pretty good, but I think he struggled in some ways to get this team to play with a certain level of toughness, I think. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. That's just my perspective from outside. I'm interested to see what Ime Udoka brings to this team. He's had 9 years as an assistant coach from multiple good teams. Spurs, Brooklyn, I can't remember the other one, but he comes with good experience. He could be really, really solid. He's one of those players that really had to fight and learn and be one of those, it's like the Phil Jacksons, who were not like these talents in the league that were just like more talented than everyone, and that's why they just dominated there. He was one of those players that really had to work and fight and be just really good technically. And it's just interesting to me, those types of players seem to become really good coaches, that they're guys that had to learn and grow, and so they can help other players on their teams kind of learn and grow like they did. So I think that's really interesting. Plus, he's got the experience with all these great teams. He could be a really good coach, and he makes them kind of a wild card a little bit to me. Can he take them to another level that Brad Stevens couldn't? And, I think it's interesting that Brad Stevens becomes the general manager of this team. He was obviously kind of, I don't know if burnout is the word on coaching, but he was more interested in becoming a general manager, and Celtics ownership obviously wanted to keep him in the organization. And so he moves to the front office, and they make a ton of moves. And that first move being this Ime Udoka head coach hire. So I think that makes them kind of a wild card in terms of how good they can be. It kind of, in a way, raises their ceiling, because who knows, maybe he can get more out of this team than Brad Stevens was. And if last season Brad Stevens just really didn't have that fire in his desire to coach, then maybe Ime Udoka can, and he's a first-time head coach, so there's a chance he could be really good. At the same token, maybe Brad Stevens was a lot better than we all thought. That's the other side of the coin. Could Brad Stevens been coaching this team up to another level that people didn't realize, and could they get worse? I don't know. We'll find out. I think the Celtics have really good talent, so I really doubt that the bottom falls off on this team. They're going to be a playoff team. There's just no way they're not a playoff team this year. But the question is, what seed can they get to? And I think the head coach change is interesting and might it raises that ceiling a little bit, maybe lowers the floor a tiny bit, and who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they could just fall off the face of the earth. I just don't see that happening. I see the Celtics having a little more ceiling. They're interesting. So the next big move that really happened at the beginning, and really the first move from Brad Stevens in the front office, is bringing back Al Horford to the Celtics. They trade Kemba Walker in the number 16 pick for Al Horford, someone who I think was just a mistake to let him go in the first place, because it felt like he did everything they needed from that center position, and it felt like there was a vacuum there at that position since Horford left. He did so many good things for them in the playoffs and just in the regular season, helping them win so many games. Really an unsung hero in a lot of ways, and I think losing Horford for that last season or so really showed with the Celtics that, they missed that guy. Everyone talks about Kemba Walker's performance, and honestly, I was looking at Kemba Walker's stats from the last 2 years, and they're my perception was that he just was not very good. But when you look at him, his 3-point percentage was at near the top of his averages. He had solid years on the floor when he was healthy. The problem with Kemba Walker is that you just couldn't keep him healthy. And if you have that guy that you're putting a lot of money into and a lot of responsibility with the ball in his hands, and if he's just injured all the time, it just constantly throws your team out of whack. I don't know exactly what happens in this locker room last year with the Celtics, and I don't think Kemba Walker was really a problem. The problem with Kemba Walker is that you just don't have consistency on the floor, and not even necessarily from his play, which I do think was some of these numbers might be a little overblown. When I watch the Celtics play against teams that I'm rooting for, Kemba Walker shooting the ball was not something that ever made me nervous or scared. And if anything, I would have much rather had Kemba Walker shooting the ball instead of Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. So it's interesting to me, though, that the stats for Kemba were actually pretty solid. It's just the injury history that is so frustrating for Celtics fans and for the Celtic organization, and that's why they move on from him. It's painful to give up Kemba Walker and a first-round pick to bring back Al Horford, who you could have just re-signed and overpaid before. And that's another thing, and we haven't even mentioned it, but you have the change from Danny Ainge to Brad Stevens, which was big, and probably shouldn't just gloss over that because it's a big deal. I like the moves that Brad Stevens made, and I think it's interesting that Brad Stevens brings Horford back. It makes me wonder if he was frustrated that Al Horford ever left, and Brad Stevens probably understood better than anyone that Al Horford is going to help this team. I actually think it's a really positive move. Al Horford has been quietly really good for the Thunder, and just been a solid NBA player ever since he left. He's got a game that ages well, and I know Horford's older, but he can defend still, and we've seen him defend players like Embiid. Like, he's stronger than he looks, and he brings stuff on offense that just help a team have a really nice offensive game. Obviously, he can shoot the ball, but the thing that's really nice with Horford is the fact that he moves the ball so well. And that's one thing the Celtics team needs a little bit. They need the ball to move from side to side on the floor to get open shots. If you just have Jayson Tatum doing ISO plays all game long, I mean, Jayson Tatum's an awesome talent and is absolutely going to be an all-star for the next 5-10 years. But that's not a way that you're going to get a win every night, because if you have one guy just getting you buckets and then everyone else is just getting stagnant and not being involved, that's not good. So when Al Horford's on the floor, you have someone that moves the ball. The ball is also on the perimeter more, spreading the floor. And so Al Horford just, to me, helps out this team a ton. Is he going to be as good as he was in his prime? Probably not. But I think he can be a solid addition to this team that'll help them win. If anything, losing Kemba Walker hurts in some ways, but the fact that you're replacing him with durability and you have that solid center position now that they've really missed for the last 2 years, I like it. It's painful to give up first round picks, and I don't even remember who was number 16, but this was a good draft. So it was painful to see that pick have to go to get Kemba Walker, but you know what? You fill a need, and this is a team that wants to win now. It's ready to win now. You've got guys in their prime. You've got Brown and Tatum ready to go. You can't just wait for a player and hope that they can stay healthy all year when you know they probably aren't. All right, guys, let's take a moment to talk about manscaped.com. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leader of male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20. Guys, go do it. It's 20% off. It's free shipping. It's going to save you, honestly, $20 to $30 on whatever you get. And if you get a big time, if you're going out and you're getting like this ultra smooth package thing or this lawnmower, the actual lawnmower, which is fantastic, waterproof, works in the shower. You can cut your hair, cut your beard, cut your man parts. Then it's the cologne. Go get it. It's great. 20% off plus free shipping. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20. HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com. Your dick and balls need some help. For a clean trinity and beyond, For Spaceballs, well, thank you. Jeez. We're getting crazy with those reads. All right. So let's get back to some of the transactions for this team. And then just what my general feeling is how good this team is going to be this next season. The big move, and there's a lot of moves. Honestly, Brad Stevens got to work. Evan Fournier moves to the Knicks. They don't re-sign Fournier. I actually don't feel that's big of a loss. And anyone who watched the Celtics with Fournier, he was not great. And if you go look at Fournier's playoff numbers, they are putrid. They are terrible. Losing Evan Fournier, I don't think is a big deal. And if the Knicks want to pay him $20 million a year, go for it. That's not someone I want on my team for that much money. Now, if he's $10 million or so, he's a solid addition. For $20 million, that's a lot of money for someone who just has never produced on the big stage. They bring in Josh Richardson, bring in Dennis Schroeder on the cheap. And the whole story with Dennis Schroeder was that he was expecting a big time deal, turns down a big contract, and it just absolutely blew up in his face. That guy missed out on like $60 million. It's crazy. So they get Dennis Schroeder on the cheap. I think that's interesting because Dennis Schroeder has a little bit of personality stuff that we'll see how it goes, because he's going to be trying to get another contract, and that guy's going to shoot the ball when he gets it. And my guess is he's coming off the bench, and maybe that's his perfect role, is just being that sixth man who scores. And that might be perfect. Maybe he's, Jordan Clarkson or Lou Williams for the Celtics. And I tell you what, those guys, Lou Williams has helped the Clippers and the Hawks win, and Jordan Clarkson has been awesome for the Utah Jazz. So if you can have Dennis Schroeder be that guy, and all his job is to come in and get buckets, that might be perfect. And he might have a big time year. And plus, if he's your sixth man and all you want him to do is score, it's a win-win. That's what you want him to do. And that's what he wants to do, because he's going to try to come in and earn a contract. So he's going to come in and shoot the ball. And the Celtics are like, great, that's what we want you to do. So I think that's perfect. And the one move that I really liked, because I thought this guy, if I'm another team in the NBA, I'm trying to trade for him, is Marcus Smart. I think he is the most underrated player on this team. Everyone knows how good Jayson Tatum is. Everyone has seen Jaylen Brown grow to be just this awesome wing. Like the Celtics have an awesome tandem of wings in Brown and Tatum. And everyone understands how good they are. But Marcus Smart, to me, is kind of the heart and soul of this Boston Celtics team. He is the point of attack on defense that sets a tone. He's guarding every team's most difficult guard and a lot of times wings, and he can even guard forwards and centers if you need him in a pinch. He's so strong. I love Marcus Smart, and I love what he brings to the floor. And I know sometimes he's a little wild with his offense, where he's shooting probably more than he should, but his 3-point percentages have gone up. And it's just that defense and that mentality that he brings that just makes everyone play harder. If you want to win in this league, you need guys, you need talent. Number one, you need talent. Obviously, everyone wants talent. That's what you need. That's why we tank for better players. And that's why you make big time trades and trade millions of picks to get one guy, because you need talent to win. The Celtics have the talent. Sometimes, though, you need mentality, and you need guys that bring that fire to your team. And I don't know if Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are necessarily the biggest, fiery leaders. They definitely are the talent, but I think Marcus Smart kind of fills that role. And I love Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum threesome on the floor. That's a trio that's just going to do a lot of damage to a lot of teams. And then you have Al Horford behind you, backing things up. Maybe Josh Richardson turns into something really nice. Josh Richardson, I think, is what he is. He's around a 36% 3-point shooter, but if the Celtics can kind of turn him into that plus defender that he was in Miami and wasn't quite that good on the Mavericks, if they can kind of make him what everyone enjoyed on the Heat, then you've got a nice team here. And then finally, they give a pretty big contract to Robert Williams, and I think Robert Williams is another guy that has shown to be a really solid player for them. I like the contract. The Celtics have an opportunity here to have multiple looks when they go on offense. Robert Williams is one of those guys that can jump through the roof and then slam it on pick and rolls. So if you have a rolling big in Robert Williams, you switch that up with Al Horford, you've got a nice tandem of centers that can do a lot of different things. You can give a lot of different looks on offense and score in a bunch of different ways. And having Robert Williams likely backing up Al Horford, I really hope that Horford isn't playing the power forward, because we saw that in Philadelphia that just didn't really work. But if Al Horford is starting center, Robert Williams is coming off the bench, you can actually play Horford less minutes during the year and play Robert Williams more. Maybe Horford plays like 25 minutes a night, and then the rest you give to Robert Williams. And that works really nice because then you can preserve Horford for the playoffs. I like it. Now, how good are the Boston Celtics going to be? I think they're the number 4 seed. I think they can be a home of court advantage in the first round, and I think they are good enough to surprise. I think their ceiling is Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're good enough to surprise some teams and come out and be a different team next year. I don't know if they have the ability to get out of the Eastern Conference because the Eastern Conference has the Nets and the Bucks, and both those teams I think are just better teams. But I think they have a chance to really get there. If everything molds, I think they can get to the Eastern Conference. I wouldn't be surprised. So I think they're really good. I think that's kind of what their ceiling is, though. We'll see if they prove me wrong. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree if I'm wrong. Also, let me know who we should talk about next. I was asked to do the Boston Celtics last time. Let me know in the comments. I've seen a few, but let me know in the video below who you want me to talk about next and preview. All right, guys, let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. These are the guys that make it happen. They're the ones that go to the All-Star game. Kelsey Hamer, the Hammer, and one, Anton Warren, Ezekiel Raisibe, the man from Down Under, JT Buckets Wardell, Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire, Eric C., the C stands for champion, Donald Schooley, schooling all of us, DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Lee Christensen driving the lane, Ryan Perry, the legend, Justin Ty H, Patrick Akubo, the connoisseur, Robert Hall of Fame, and DW Jazz going all the way. Guys, like I said, join the channel to support the channel. Like and subscribe. That helps as well. Just hitting a like and a subscribe would be great, and I would appreciate it. And hit the bell to get notifications when we go live or when these videos come out, and then watch them. And comment for the algorithm. I appreciate it all the time. All right, guys. Guys, you're the best. I appreciate you. Talk to you next time.